Yeah, Liquid Sonic's got a video about Duncan Trussell. Let's have a look.
Aside from like wondering if you're in hell and this is all a bad dream.
Duncan Trussell is an American actor and stand-up comic. Well, at least in name, because like many of his peers, he is more well known as a podcast personality, and he got his big break, again like many others, through his multiple appearances on the Joe Rogan Experience. Duncan's USP as a hack stand-up comedian is being into spirituality.
Yo, regular dude.
Psychedelics and all this woo-woo shit. And in the early 2010s, he melded well with Joe Rogan's weed-addled mind. Personally, until recently, I had not watched any Duncan Trussell since I was about 16 years old. For a while, I thought all the talk about smoking weed and all this sort of stuff was really cool, but after getting into them a bit and then...
I've only seen Duncan Trussell briefly in that one elephant graveyard video, I think. Yeah, I've only seen this guy in that one elephant graveyard video. But he seemed like a total fucking loser.
Ending up watching their stand-up, something quickly clicked and I couldn't stand any of these people. And I'm not saying I was a super smart, switched-on 16-year-old, I was kind of a sped. And I'll admit that to point out that 16-year-old retarded me realised that watching a Joe Rogan stand-up set bootlegged online was incredibly embarrassing to the point that I'd be switching tabs if a family member walked in.
Yo, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, Godspeed! Yet another Liquid Sonic visual gag, solely made for me here. Yet another Liquid Sonic visual gag.
Mine was incredibly embarrassing to the point that I'd be switching tabs if a family member walked in, hoping they'd think they'd caught me gripping it or something. So I do have a bit of a bias and in some cases an extreme distaste for the type of people that have made it into their 20s and still cope about the fact they smoke weed every day when it's clearly going to turn them into some brain-fucked drone. They have just self-inflictedly, cognitively destroyed their mind and in turn prime themselves to swallow up whatever slop gets pushed on them by someone like Joe Rogan, or whoever's trying to influence Joe at any point in time. But it has worked out well for him and Duncan, because they now have a fan base that for the past 10 years have been turning themselves retarded. So it really should have been smooth sailing, pumping out repetitive garbage for thoughtless morons. But Duncan still managed to screw it up, and for the past year his fan base has been turning on him. And what really propelled this was a video from the elephant graveyard.
Oh, so it is literally tied into this video. So I guess this guy going crazy about... fuck, I can't remember exactly what it was. Trussell started, like, shilling teal or something, right? Is that it? He was like a, weed hippie guy before, and then all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, teal's awesome, actually. Yeah, okay. Okay. So I guess people are sort of turning on, like, the weird billionaire shit.
Guess if you're clicking on this video, you've seen it. Basically, it details Joe Rogan's sucking up to people like Peter Thiel. And although Duncan is a hippy-dippy guy that spoke out about the tech elites before, to feel like he's going along for the ride with...
Yo, thank you, Jinro777, for the $20 with the Shiba Inu, holding a trophy, rubbing his face up against a trophy in a samurai outfit. Thank you so much, Jinro. Huge appreciated.
With Joe, he also sucks up to Peter and sells out his original principles that he sold his career on. And as I have had a long-standing distaste for Duncan, I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about his career and this situation.
Like when I went down to hang out to this Ram Dass retreat, and there was this Zen Roshi there, this woman who's been practicing Zen for like, I don't know, her whole life basically, and she said that the teacher does not give the student enlightenment, but sets the conditions, creates a good condition for realization.
These old JRE episodes are about as stereotypical as they're portrayed nowadays. Like minutes into this one, they're talking about bears fighting.
Not to mention the fact that bears are eating you. You can get eaten by a bear.
Yeah,
for
easily.
real. That's a real worry for you. Yeah.
You ever seen them go to war with each other?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're taking, chunks of hairs are flying and shit like that, and they're fine.
They're fine.
Just bit the fuck out of each other.
It's not to my taste, but they were a pretty good fit. Joe Rogan was a meathead that was open-minded to spirituality, and Duncan was the guy that was in deep. He could tell Joe about these crazy trips that he's had, making good content for the show, and in turn, workshop his bits. Because when it comes to Duncan's stand-up, he's most well known for drug stories. Like he gets a shot on Comedy Central, and he just talks about how he got really high once.
They fill balloons up with this gas. I inhale the gas, And that is when I had one of the most beautiful and incredible experiences of my life. Suddenly I was no longer a teenager in high school, at a Grateful Dead concert, dying with a string in his throat. Suddenly I was everything. I became the entire universe.
This is like the chatter of some burnt out loser that spent their whole life going to festivals and after 5 minutes he just hoped would leave you alone. But it was popular with Joe and he managed to ride this trick for over a decade, and at times he would see mainstream success. Most notably with his Netflix cartoon The Midnight Gospel. I couldn't stand it. They'd like quote Mahatma Gandhi and talk about smoking DMT. It was the most self-indulgent bullshit, but it did help him gain an even bigger fan base of like-minded individuals. Like somehow on Duncan's podcast, he got a Lil Yachty interview. They just talk about tripping the whole time, unsurprisingly. And you see these gross freaks in the comments like, "Hey, Lil Yachty, you really need to smoke DMT."
Is he really saying isn't Lil Yachty? Isn't it? Wouldn't it be yacht? Is it not yacht? He's saying Yachty? That's awesome.
Individuals. Like somehow on Duncan's podcast, he got a Lil Yachty interview. They just talk about tripping the whole time, unsurprisingly. And you see these gross freaks in the comments like, "Hey, Lil Yachty, you really need to smoke DMT." Despite a lot of the shit I've been saying, I'm not that hard anti-drugs, but it's the people that will endlessly push stuff like this in YouTube comment sections. Like, look at this top post.
Yiddish
How to
music
get the
group.
most more like a business deal from DMT experience.
I'm not gonna,
Hey,
I've literally always hated the like, you know, mushrooms, acid, DMT, like spirituality shit. It is just so gay, man. It's like you are legit, like you are such a retard mark if you're on that type of shit where you're like thinking that doing acid is, or whatever the fuck is bringing you close to some universal truth and isn't just like you taking drugs. You're like a total mark.
want the inside of your brain to look like this mangled mess? Come sit.
Naga, why are you dropping that? Pound of weed. Pound of weed. What up, YouTube, YouTube? It's Joe, the only coming for Custom Grow 420, the YouTube channel for cannabis patients and adults. Oh, man. I'm lost. Real ones know. Real ones know. Real ones know. It's this weed YouTuber that used to just being like, used to be like a meme, basically. Called Custom Grow 420, Joe Lioli. He would just do these, like, insane, like, weed smoking videos. He would do that intro every time, and then he did like the Long Buster, 30 inches of doom. He's got like this 30-inch bong, and he like fills the whole thing up and like inhales the whole rib, and like it's choking for like 30 minutes. And there's a video, where he gets a pound of weed, and he's like going, pound of weed, pound of weed, pound of weed. And he's just like, you know, grinding these insane, or like rolling these insane fucking blunts and shit. They're just like, he's like just dropping it everywhere. And what were the other ones? He had like these, what are they called? Like the volcano or whatever, the vape things. That, like it puts vapor into a bag and then you inhale the bag. And he had like this massive long bag that like stretched around his fucking house. They filled it up and got worked through the fucking bag. I don't think you can show it. I think a lot of it got removed from YouTube after they changed drug policy at some point.
In the back of my van, we can shred our minds to pieces with chemicals. Oh, and don't worry, I'm like an ethical hippie guy, so I'm totally not going to rape you during the experience. But this is actually Duncan's best work. It gets a lot worse from here. You see, Duncan didn't quite pop off the way others in his circle did. So he developed a new skill key for hack podcasters, and that is be a shameless brown-nosing sycophant. And he would relocate to Austin, Texas, so he could get comedy legend.
Oh yeah, and there's a video of him doing, what is it, knife hits? Knife hits, where he's like heating up knives on his fucking stovetop with a plastic bottle, like strapped to his mouth. Like half of a plastic bottle cut in half, strapped to his mouth. So that, and what you like, use the knives, hot knives, to pick up a bit of the weed, like a bud of the weed, and then you hold it underneath the cut plastic bottle and like inhale it. And he tells like this story about like passing out and like scalding his hand on the fucking knife or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah.
like Tony Hinchcliffe on his show. And you best believe Duncan is going to engage in some obscene glazing.
And so to see you skyrocket to like you are now more famous, more popular than it's like having Johnny Carson on the show. It's crazy, right? Yeah. So just from that perspective and I'm sorry if this fucks you up, but knowing off stage how you're very sweet. Yeah. But on stage you're this terrible, dark, evil, fucking monstrous, brutal assassin is cool.
But he's like the most uncomfortable guy with the vibes of a closeted queer, where the most popular parts of his shows where he points out disabled people have funny hands.
No way that's made in China unless, well, yeah.
What?
Well, I was going to say especially couldn't be made by anybody with hands like Steve Lee. I mean,
Jesus Christ!
Wow, funny stuff. Also in this episode, Duncan ends up doing a joke Pfizer ad.
And there's a commercial with John Legend. And it's a Pfizer commercial.
All right.
And he's going, I just got my boost. Not
Hold on
just only because
sorry, we got to cut to commercial real quick. Sorry. This episode of the DTFH has been brought to you by Pfizer. Guys, did you know right now it's cold and flu season?
Then they do this pretty standard anti-corporate, anti-advertising bit.
Dude, what is this Richard Hanania post? Oh my god, this looks awesome. Oh man, let me pull this up. Sorry, 2 seconds. Let's get this post.
Charlie Kirk have gotten assassinated if he were Chad? Well, probably not, and here's why. Good-looking people experience something called the halo effect, so it's quite possible that if Charlie were to be better looking, someone wouldn't have hated him enough to assassinate him. What happened to him is quite terrible, and this might be an insensitive video to make, but I'm really trying to bring awareness to how brutal the black pill is. Looks really are going to determine the quality of your life to a high degree, so if you're not doing everything you can to maximize them, you're missing out.
Brilliant stuff. Really brilliant
Forensic
stuff,
Files. You're watching Forensic Files, right? Horrible. People dying. Commercial for an antidepressant.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
you know when they're like, what shows do we advertise on?
Yep.
Well, what's depressed people? What do they like to watch? They like to watch people die.
Yeah, we getting on Bone Smashing? Are we on Bone Smashing yet?
Perfect. Or an antipsychotic medication.
Yeah.
And then you get the McDonald's commercial, but then it's a fucking heart medication.
So after that, the joke Pfizer ad and the talk about predatory practices in advertising, there is this awkwardly placed intermission leading to Duncan's ad read.
This episode of the DTFH is brought to you by my friends at BetterHelp. October is here. Halloween, the season for wearing masks, costumes. But what happens if you wear a mask every other month of the year?
So where can we advertise to the mentally ill? Oh, why don't we go to that freak druggy comedians podcast and give him some money to push our very sketchy website?
Like, what shows do we advertise on? Yep. Well, what's depressed people? What do they like to watch?
Don't think about it, Duncan, okay? Just cash the check.
I think there could be parallel timelines. And I think that the way we navigate through those parallel timelines is not like time jumping or opening wormholes, but rather believing fully that that's where we're at. Yeah. And the moment you do that, you shift into a brand new universe. Everything's different, but it looks the same. That's what you're doing. And that's so cool, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow, that is cool. That is cool, Duncan, for like a fucking 15-year-old. I just get such brutal embarrassment knowing that like the first time I smoked weed, I'd listen to something like this and think it was so cool. Yeah, man, we're just like lumps of meat walking around.
One of the theories on why aliens aren't coming here is because they don't consider us intelligent life.
Yeah.
So they just see us as just like what you're saying, some kind of like vaguely sentient, reactive meat and not worth visiting.
It should have been clear for Theo that Duncan got the chip implanted when he showed up sucking on a pink vape pen. He also believed that Elon Musk was the top Diablo player.
You read Elon Musk is the top Diablo player in North America, right? Which
I think in the world, dude.
In the world.
I think he's the number one in the world, which is fucking insane.
And dude, and I know you, and I'm not trying to high road you here, but unless you've played Diablo 4, you can't understand what that means. I actually let myself think maybe he actually is an alien, because there's just no way, unless he's paying people to do it for him, which obviously he's not.
Yeah, think about it. Obviously, he's not paying someone to do it for him. That's why we can rely on Duncan to get to the truth of stuff. He'd rather believe that Elon Musk is a superhuman alien over considering that he might just be an ego-driven liar. I don't know why he does this outfit stuff as well, because he is just a funny-looking fella. Which brings me to something about the elephant graveyard video.
God, look at him. He's just not the same guy. Look in his eyes. It's obvious. Those
Suey
are
eyes.
Suey eyes. Well, that's a confirmed Suey for Duncan. Rest in peace, man. Quel dommage.
Yes, the Suey Eyes joke has been spammed to death. The elephant graveyard has even asked people to stop doing it. It's inevitable when hundreds of commenters all think that they're the funny one by spamming the same thing over and over again. The joke's going to get tired. But the thing is, this is an old popular moment from Duncan on the JRE podcast.
People spend a lot of energy trying to imagine a solidity that isn't really there.
And look at the expression on the poor guy here. He's fucking fried. If you stare into the psychedelic abyss long enough, you just won't be able to look normal. Like a guy with this look in his eyes starts approaching you on the street. You best hope you've got your headphones in so you can just pretend that you didn't notice him. And now, just to make sure everyone's up to speed, we'll run a bit of context from the elephant graveyard video.
Not long ago, he was the lone voice of reason in Joe's inner circle, and the only guy to openly predict how Joe would be corrupted by powerful forces looking to exploit him for access to his far-reaching media platform.
People have decided you're one of the magnifying glasses focusing this beam of attention into the world. You have to watch out because people are going to like try to exploit you. That's the main thing, is like people recognizing what you are, who have political agendas, will infiltrate your shit and then start blowing out their radioactivity into the world.
So once Joe migrated into his new reality, Duncan faced the hard choice of either embracing the absurd and maintaining his principles of honesty and truth, or committing a philosophical Suey and joining Joe in his new reality in order to maintain connection to the comedy czar's sphere of influence. All right, back to Duncan. What's he saying about Pete?
Here's what's fascinating to me about accusing Peter Thiel of being the Antichrist.
Stuff. He's very much
talk and awesome. And it was like totally normal dude, obviously super smart. There didn't feel like there was any kind of like subversive anything, nothing.
God, this set looks terrible.
Nothing to really be scared of.
Depressing,
So people
man.
say that
Thought
Peter
slime
Thiel
type-ish.
is Antichrist, just for argument's
Fucking
sake.
says that.
You hear that? He's actually getting mad about this.
Argument's
Fucking says that.
The reason Dunk's got to do this is because the comedy czar is actually Pete's friend now. So he had to become a new guy to stay in Joe's circle of power, a shriveled husk of a guy.
So this guy that sold himself as being a free-thinking, out-there, anti-establishment comedian has now sold out to the tech elite. His core fan base have seen this going on for a while, and it's been over a year people on his Reddit have been questioning if Duncan is now turning right-wing, and a lot of his audience are unhappy about this. And if Duncan were to change to a libertarian type of right-winger and have some consistent values, it might not be such a kick in the teeth for these people, but now he essentially plays both sides, talking up an anti-establishment game when it's appropriate, and when Joe and his billionaire elite friends might get upset, he's there to play defense for them. And in his current era, he's going on shows like Trigonometry.
You know why you think that? Because you're a racist fucking Nazi. You know what I mean? That's why.
Oh, you can't say anything these days as a comedian, can you, Duncan? Francis is gonna love that. And although I do love Francis's funny little face, this is a rough podcast. The only real strong takeaway is Duncan made very sure to defend Tony Hinchcliffe for doing stand-up at a Donald Trump rally.
That you want to paint half of the country as either sort of fascists, pre-fascists, idiots, gullible fools taken in by a maniacal psychopath.
Lieware.
And so then Tony does this joke. One thing is like this got the ball, and the dog in this case is the DNC propaganda, the arm of the DNC that wanted that this helps them confirm. Like basically you take 4 minutes of stand up from a roast comedian known for that, and then you apply that to the entire half the country must be like that, and that's who they really are. Well, it's ridiculous.
The rest of it is just vague generalities of anti-establishment stuff that sounds good if you're not listening. The trigonometry guys say fuck all, so it's almost a...
Yeah, I literally have to play it now. I have to play it. The trigonometry guys say fuck all.
So I don't see this as a conservative versus not conservative issue. This to me is It's like it's a mind virus. This stuff, it really is.
I think you're right. It's not necessarily political. I don't know whether an army should reflect society.
I don't give a shit if it reflects society. I don't care. I want the army to be good at doing its job. Why does every institution have to be a tool of...
What am I doing on this show?
Social engineering, effectively, right?
What is my purpose here? Does anybody know? What have I to offer? What's inside my head? Should I be listening to what that other bloke just said? What should I say? I'm at a loss. If I start talking now, will Constantine be cross? Or having to read the news or studied any books? Constantine's the brains of this, so I must be the looks. I know that there will come a day when I will come up with a clever thing to say, and when I say it, everyone will know what I am doing on this show.
Sorry, Francis. I just to follow up on that. We, as far as I mean, I didn't know you had this here. I don't know if we have in the UK. We did have
so big
some kind of
monologue of Trussell's where it takes about 50 minutes to get to the point of how about we just be nice to each other.
I think it's like my friend Jack Hornfield says, tend to the part of the garden you can touch. You know, go micro, go small. What around you needs help right now? Ground level, micro acts of compassion would theoretically change everything. And it would happen very, very quickly, in fact.
You know, it's a really profound point you make because...
It's almost like hippie-era Russell Brand, where if you get swept up in the emotion, you might think he's saying something cool, but it's nothing. And since people have been on his Reddit criticizing him, he has been responding, making little bitchy comments.
If you're an offended person right now, just getting your fucking typing finger ready for my subreddit. Just ask yourself if your views lead to peace.
But his response to the elephant graveyard was just disgraceful.
Oh, no. I have been working non-stop on an incredible video. I don't want to build it up too much. I just want to say in advance, I think some of you might think that it's unethical to, as they say, dox people. And I got to say, I agree with that. But, you know, sometimes you have to ask yourself, is anonymity good for people all the time? You know, maybe sometimes when someone is trapped in anonymity, you free them, you liberate them.
Over a video, just like what was said in that, what could you possibly claim is dox-worthy in that elephant graveyard video? What could you possibly even begin to claim as dox-worthy?
You rescue them from a self-imposed prison.
His response is supposed to be irreverent and unserious, but it was bold opening with that regardless. Basically, he just pretends to have tech issues while showing this parody of the elephant graveyard.
Look at that poor thing's eyes. It's like it knows it's a simulacrum.
He was fucking around. He was fucking
always seeking realness, wanting to be authentic, and yet doomed to forever be. Can't wait for Silk Song. Should I buy a Switch for that? Seems crazy. Isn't it going to be on PlayStation?
Ah, Silk Song, guys. Do you remember when everyone was talking about Silk Song? That's aged well. Then there's a very hard change of course to him talking about a tragedy and evoking Christianity.
Well, I went to Mass today. Yes, I went to Mass because, you know, that horrible thing happened.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my fucking God. And, you know, it feels weirdly tight. Like for those of you who are just catching up, I had a bishop on and we talked about how Christians are the most persecuted religious group on the planet.
And I can't help but see this cynically. Like, who's not going to be an asshole like me and try to see the good in people? Devout Christians, and they'll probably stick around.
This episode of the DTFH has been supported by DraftKings. Game on!
I think he's gross. And just to prove he's totally above it all and doesn't care, he decided to respond a second time. The first time he was just goofing around. Why would he care? Some pretentious guy made a video about him. But this time, it's serious.
Because I said that, and because this landed on this video, which in a broader sense, and I think a sort of satirical way, seems to be saying that I am part of a cabal of Austin comedians who are fascists, who are maybe trying to take over the federal government. And I think from my clip, the anonymous person said that, implied or said directly that, like, I can't say things that go against what Rogan thinks, and like that I'm getting paid off by Peter Thiel or Palantir.
Duncan's really hung up on this anonymous stuff. It's like he's really upset that he didn't manage to dox the elephant graveyard. But on top of that, Duncan takes the worst possible readings from this situation to rebut. Obviously, Duncan is not getting paid off. Obviously, there is not a hard power suppressing what he can say.
No,
Every time
like
someone is being a sycophant...
The same as... Yeah, it's the same... Dude, so true. This is the bullshit that every fucking dick rider will do. So, oh, you think I'm being paid off? You think I'm being paid off? No, you're just in a position where your incentives align perfectly if you say the exact things you're saying and never stray from it.
And sucking up to someone bigger than them, they aren't on their payroll. That's not how this dynamic works.
Yeah,
Anyone
obviously.
looking at this situation should be smart enough to see that, and this is a desperate grab. You can find this a lot with content creators when they know they are in the shit. All is lost, so I'll find a way to rhetorically manipulate the most stupid or the most hardened followers, so I can at least keep this ship sailing with whoever's dumb enough to stay on board.
Dude, this is literally the most brutal picture of Destiny I think I've ever seen. Bro, he looks like, Toy Story 2.
No one is saying Duncan is a secret Nazi that wants to take over the government. No one is saying he is paid off by Peter Thiel, and he is shameful and downright pathetic for saying this.
Which is not true.
Wow, consider Elephant Graveyard debunked.
And I thought it was hilarious. I really did. And the reason I thought it was funny was because, my God, like, if you listen to my podcast for any amount of time, you know my feeling when it comes to war.
I'm coming in with a hot take. War's bad, guys. If no one else is going to say it, I will. We got to stop them wars.
Now, again, all of this was very funny until a few days ago, Charlie Kirk got assassinated.
Okay, so think about this terrible thing that happened, and then think about how it made me, the host of a Roganverse comedy podcast, feel. You know, there's an assassination, and then there's me getting made fun of in a YouTube video. And it's just starting to make me think that maybe we are Charlie Kirk. Again, I think he's gross. I think it's gross weaponizing stuff like this as well. Everyone's just having a bit of fun at his expense. It's not that deep. And there have now been clips of him posted where he's now trying to say that he was tricked into thinking that Donald Trump was this anti-war, anti-establishment guy.
I really bought in to what the Trump people were saying about no more wars. And I just feel like such a dipshit. I really do. Like, you know, for years I've never liked the president. Didn't like Obama. Didn't like Biden. I just don't like him. They give me the creeps.
And I can't help but think he's seen all these other comedy podcasts pull this move, and he's thought he can fall in line with this narrative.
Yeah,
just
true.
a myriad of terrible decisions, and now his show has fallen off like crazy. This guy sold out his beliefs to sweep for tech billionaires, and has been left with a channel that often doesn't make 10,000 views on a video. And the real sad thing is there's a huge market for anti-Rogan content now. Duncan wouldn't have had to have gone full hater either. He could have just sat on the sidelines and criticised him, and there would probably be a huge market for someone that's in Joe's circle, that's still willing to critique him when it matters, and is also still into the astral travelling hippie shit. Maybe he shouldn't have smoked so many chemicals to the point that when he speaks it sounds like the inside of his body's rotting.
Damn. Good video.